Today, we are heading to an old Northumberland pub to sweep their main chimney. There is a possibility that jackdaws have been nesting during the summer months, but it's not confirmed. We are getting here nice and early, before the customers arrive later today. As usual, I will prepare with standard latex gloves, and my colleague has already informed me what we need for this job. There are no carpets, so we can work from our plastic sheets. The particle separator will play an important role today, as if it's blocked. I don't want any twigs going into the vacuum. I think we will start with a camera inspection. It only takes a few minutes to set up, but it will allow me to check for a nest, check the liner integrity, and make a decision if we need the air scrubber. So, let's get started. The camera is already set up, and we will now check the liner. I am hoping it's clear, as we have around 12 chimneys to attend today, so I want to try and keep to my schedule. I use a different set of rods for my camera that I do to sweep the flue. As I begin to send the rods higher, I was able to confirm a nest. Judging from the size of the twigs, they are jackdaw. This means we need to extract them, and we won't be able to simply push past them. But we can tackle this, as we have the right equipment for the job. After working on the nest for a few minutes, a large collection of twigs are starting to collect within the stove. So they need to be cleared, as they will just end up backfilling into the flue. After the nest is cleared, I will look again with the camera to check on its progress. There were multiple blockages, and it was a rinse and repeat process, which involves clearing the visible nests, then verifying with CCTV. After around an hour, success! Daylight is now visible. But I always like to show the customer the camera at this stage, as verification of a cleared liner. But now I will re-clean the liner, using a soft brush to clear any loose twigs. Now it's time to clear up the twigs, but first a change of gloves. Jackdaws are expert nest builders, but they only designed to last a season, and they use anything from sheep wool to fox hair. I have even found homework from a local primary school from 1985 entangled in a nest. After clearing away these twigs and refitting the throat plate, it's time for a smoke test. I always preheat the chimney for around 2 minutes to assist with draw. I will now light the smoke pellet and head outside to check the chimney. I am looking for a good pull of smoke and checking to make sure it's only coming out of one chimney pot, and I'm happy with this. I will complete the paperwork, collect payment, and head to my next job. The customer wasn't able to remove the ash prior to our arrival, and under the circumstances, it's quite understandable, so I will go ahead and remove the ash. I like to also clean the hearth, as I always place plastic below the stove to protect it. During the sweep, while inspecting the outside, I spotted creosote inside the cowl, and it was causing poor draw within the flue. Sometimes we need to get on the roof to clean the cows manually. A buildup of creosote can sometimes fall down and block the flue, so it needs to be identified and removed. A smoke test confirms we have draw, and the stove can once again be used. Next up, a large farmhouse, and I have already laid my floor protection. The new occupiers have stated the farm want the chimney inspected because there is no draw, and the cottage next door had a chimney fire recently. I will take a quick look up the chimney for twigs, and there is none. So it's a good sign. The house has not been occupied in some time, so I am expecting a blockage of creosote. It's unlikely jackdaws because the chimney has a basket on to prevent the birds from nesting. I'm deciding which rods and brush I will use to start with. I decide to go with a medium brush and heavy rods, just to get out the top to check, to make sure it's clear. After around 6 rods up, I'm struggling. I am hitting something and it feels like a nest, which is strange due to the basket on the chimney pot. I will now bring down the rods and check with CCTV, just to see what's going on, and if it's indeed a nest, then chimney could have collapsed, allowing the birds inside through the other chimney. I noticed a twig, indicating a blockage, so I will now remove my brush and send up the camera. This will allow me to see the blockage and count the rods, so I can tackle the nest directly. It's a giant jackdaw nest, an absolute monster, and some of those twigs look like branches. And with just 6 rods up, this thing could be backed up all the way to the top. It's time for the Death Star. I have found this excellent to remove nests, sitting just below it, working to create a weak point so it will collapse. I will now sheet back up the chimney and see if we can remove this fast and easy. But those thick twigs may be just too much for the Death Star, and the nest extractor will need to be used. It's a metal head that tears into the twigs. After a few minutes trying to remove the nest, it's clear these twigs are huge. So now I will reverse the spin and bring it back down. I am not interested in clearing the blockage anymore, but only getting a sample of the twigs to see what we are up against. We are making some progress. However, looking at the size of these twigs, I can tell this will be a large nest, so it's time to get the air defender. This is a fantastic bit of kit and monitors the air around our work area. Any tiny particles of dust that may become airborne, simply removing and attaching the sheeting will be collected by this machine. Nothing can escape its grasp. Now, with the air defender in place, we can now tackle this nest. I will use a small hard brush to pull down the twigs from just above the chamber that we pulled down previously. The dust can be controlled through our special twin motor vacuum with a HEPA filter. This is specifically designed for soot and dust control. We went up and down a few more times, this time with the nest extractor, as more and more of the nest pours down the chimney. It's important to remember the chimney is completely blocked. There is nowhere for any dust, soot, or anything up that chimney to go, so having the correct equipment is essential. It's time for a small break, as everything is getting hot, including the drill. It will give us time to bag up these twigs and make room for whatever else is up this chimney. This is a giant nest, but it's just the beginning. I don't want to breathe anything in while bagging these twigs, so I will use a mask. With the twigs removed, it's time to go again and see what comes down. At around 8 rods in, the nest just keeps on coming. Giant twigs are now visible. They were probably acting like lintels for the nest. The occupiers have big plans to renovate this house, and the chimney is first on the list. We repeated this process a few times, changing rods and brushes to best deal with what was inside the chimney. It just never let up. It's now time for the camera. We are hoping for daylight, but instead, another nest, this time at about 11 rods. Not the news we wanted. We tackled this with the Death Star and successfully removed the entire nest. It was then checked with CCTV and a smoke test to check for draw. However, upon checking, I noticed it was coming out of 2 pots, which would explain why the chimney was full of twigs. The customer will be lining the chimney and removing the old fire soon. I will burn the last few twigs, get the fire working again, and take a photo for the customer. The paperwork will reveal the chimney is clear, but there still is a risk factor. We completed a few more chimneys, all very straightforward, and we start again tomorrow.